Hello and welcome, Whole of England here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the T-61, and I'll be discussing why it's a very good premium ship to buy, and just something that I'd recommend for players who want a good all-round premium that's pretty well balanced at mid-tier. Now, before going into it, the ship itself costs £16 or around €18.5 in the premium shop, so it's not the cheapest ship ever, but I'd say it's still something worth looking into just for the reasons we're going to be discussing. Now, the reason I'm covering this ship is because recently Wargaming announced in update 0.10.5 quite a few ships were going to be removed from availability to buy, and T-61 happened to be on that list. So, I mean, around the time that the ship was released, I think many people did consider it to be pretty OP, and some still do, which I can somewhat agree with. When it is top tier, I'd say, yeah, it is an incredibly good performer, and even when it's up tier to, say, tier 7 and 8, it is obviously going to be a lot harder because, you know, you're one or two tiers, you know, above you what you're going to be fighting, but you know, it's going to feel like it's a lot more work to stay in the game and be effective, but even at those tiers, I can, you know, I can see it having a real impact on the game just for the fact of how good this thing is. So, I mean, to begin, I want to really cover a lot of the stats, and yeah, the first thing really I want to say is T-61 is a fairly large ship, and because of this, she isn't really the most responsible or agile ship compared to a lot of others at this tier. Now, it's got a decent turning circle of 600 meters and a surprisingly fast 3.6 second rudder shift time, which is actually quite impressive. It's also got a top speed of 35 knots, but that can be improved with the Sierra Mike signal to reach 36.8. Although that's not the fastest speed ever, that's not too much of a problem if you do really need to speed up either when you're running away or needing to get to a strategic target, as it does have the speed boost consumable. So considering it's a German destroyer, agility isn't that much of a problem. Now, as said, it's a rather large ship, and one thing that you will need to be cautious of is carriers, as they'll be mainly just it's the fact they're going to be able to hit you as you are, you know, an incredibly big ship, but the other issue with carriers is the fact that they are going to spot you, and that's going to allow other ships to shoot at you. Now, obviously, that's something that's a problem with any destroyer, but because T-61 is quite a large ship in general, that's going to mean the ship shooting at you are going to have a much better chance hitting you just because you're a bigger target to hit. Now, as for detectability, 6.1 kilometers, yeah, that's pretty okay within the ranges of other destroyers of this tier, and I think the only thing is, it's just, you've got to be a bit cautious to kite away, as there is a pretty good chance that you're going to be spotted first in an engagement, and that's going to allow the enemy to get the real initial strike in a gunfight, so I'd say, just when you are going into a cap, first of all, I'd go more sort of sideways in, you know, come in and start going sideways and get prepared to start kiting away, because there's a good chance that the enemy is going to be able to spot you first, so you're going to need to start running away, kiting, dodging their shells while simultaneously buying your own, which is more just good destroyer practice anyway. Now, I mean, with the actual anti-air, because obviously, I mean, talking of spotting here, you know, you are going to have planes coming in and spotting you. It's got a rating of 17, which is not going to have much of an impact on the game at all, and it's just going to struggle to defend itself, especially when you're going just even tier 6 carriers and especially tier 8 carriers. The only time your AA is really going to be that effective is if you're going against tier 4s, and even so, they are going to be able to get a strike off on you, which is going to be overall pretty bad news. Now, what I'd say, you know, this is for what I'd say is probably the best thing in the ship is the torpedoes. Now, you'll notice they've only got a range of 8 kilometers, which some people would flat out say, no, that's pretty bad, it's not the best range ever. That's not what we're going to be really concerned about here. What we're going to look at is the reload, and it is incredibly good. Without the fill the tubes captain skill, the 2 quads torpedo launchers reload every 68 seconds. And with the skill, which I would almost 100% recommend, that has got a 61.2 second reload, which is quite frankly amazing for the amount of torpedoes you've got. Obviously, I mean, 8 kilometer range, that could potentially be a bit of an issue, but even so, 61 second reload is incredibly good. Now, not only do they reload fast, they also travel at 65 knots, which means that, you know, although they haven't got the range, they're going to be able to get to their target pretty fast. And, you know, the one, I guess, strategy that you want to play here is not attacking a flank, these torpedoes, because of their range, I mean, yeah, they're going to get to the target fast, but because of their range, you're going to want to go for either target. If you're pushing, then you're going to want to go for targets going sideways. But the ideal scenario for the ship is especially when you're kiting away, because you're going to have all these ships coming towards you, which is what you want. Is the 8 kilometers will be a lot more effective, as you could probably fire at even more than 8 kilometers because they're coming towards you, closing the gap, and then that will just mean that they'll be effectively running into your torpedoes. Now, as well as that, because obviously these are incredibly good torpedoes, and I think even though it is a good hybrid ship, it's definitely more centered around torpedoes. So for the captain skills, I'd say it's definitely better to really focus on maximizing the strengths this thing's got, so it'd be good to spec for torpedoes. Now, if you go for the Swift Fish skill, which increases the speed, that can get them up to an even better 68 knots, and then if you go for the torpedo modification on top of that, that will allow them to get to 72 knots, which is getting into European torpedo speeds. That is going to be ridiculous. You can just imagine you're going to be firing them off, and they're going to hit their targets very, very fast. Now, alongside that, if you go with Liquidator, that is pretty much going to increase the flood chance by 30%, meaning that you can become a DPM machine, because you're going to be just chucking out torpedoes that are really fast, hitting your targets, and causing loads of flooding. So even if you're only hitting, say, 1 torpedo out of each salvo, if you're getting flooding, and that's permanent, then you're just going to be getting residual flooding damage, just overall boosting your actual damage score, which is absolutely amazing. Now, finally, moving on to the main batteries, they are okay. I think these are what really balance T-61, because if the guns were amazing as well, I think this thing would just straight up be far too overpowered, and we would have seen this getting removed a lot earlier. And I've just got to say, this is probably the balancing factor to this ship. Yeah, they're not great, and they're not awful. They've got a 4-second reload time, and for 4 guns, yeah, it is pretty nice. And you can get a pretty decent amount of damage in them, you know, you can sit in your smoke. I mean, it's not the longest smoke. I mean, obviously it's a German smoke, so it's going to be around 60 seconds. Yeah, again, I mean, I'm just saying, these are the things I think that really balance it. So you're going to be in your smoke for a few seconds and firing your shots off. I'd probably say go for HE just so you can set some fires whilst you're waiting for your torpedoes. But overall, I think it's just something that you're going to want to be using when you're not using your torpedoes, just for the fact of you're not really going to be wanting to focus on them, compared to instead going for the torpedoes, just for the fact that, I mean, you can see at the moment, I mean, yeah, I did miss those salvos, but they're going there really fast, and in these sort of situations, this is what you're going to be wanting to do. And then only at this point, whilst you're waiting for them, I mean, currently the Congo is spotting this Fuso over here, and then it's just, well, you can see here, this is exactly what I thought at the time was, okay, well, I can't do anything, I'm waiting for these torpedoes to reload, I might as well get in the smoke, start firing with my main battery, so I'm going for high explosive here, and just start setting fires, because, you know, I might as well start bolstering up my damage a lot more, and we'll just, well, you'll see how that goes in a few seconds. I mean, at the moment, we're actually doing really badly on damage, but, yeah, no, this game really, really changes for the better, and you will see that. I mean, I'm currently going for this guy. I mean, obviously torpedoes have now gone out, and whilst I'm waiting for those, again, as I say, they're just something to use when you're waiting for your torpedoes. There we go, we've got a fire there. I mean, if he repairs, brilliant, okay, that's fine, because the torpedoes are then probably going to flood him, and if he doesn't, then we're just going to get an absolute load of damage. And in the meantime, whilst those are burning, just because, I mean, the penetration isn't always that great, I'm going for armor piercing instead, trying to either get that into the deck or just generally the superstructure. And there we go, we can see that's 1, 2, and that is dead. 3 torpedo hits, and what we started off with 20k, already up to 45k. Now, we have got an enemy ranger on the team, but thankfully he's going for the Congo, and that's honestly fine. So I'm just going to be really charging up, because I can see apart from the Kotovsky, he is pretty alone there, the ranger is, and it looks like he hasn't really manoeuvred far at all, and I'm overall just heading there. Now, one thing I'd also like to explain as well is, I mean, yeah, okay, this ship, it does require some element of skill. Like, you know, you've got to be constantly keeping an eye on things, obviously, like, is anything spotting me? My reload, well, obviously, the reload isn't so much of an issue, but what's really looking at me, you've got a lot to focus on, but this ship is something, I mean, if you're not too familiar with the destroyers, it's going to be a somewhat hard ship, but it will definitely teach you how to play, and once you can master this thing, you can reliably get incredibly high damage scores. I mean, at this point I was like, okay, Kotovsky's come around the corner, he's going to be launching torpedoes, as you can see there, so I didn't want to try and knock him out beforehand, try and get some good shots on his broadside, but unfortunately we don't manage to actually get him at this point here, and yeah, the Congo, at the end of this game, I really do wish that I had got that there, because that would have allowed me to get a very nice achievement at the end, but you're going to see just how awful the AA is in a few minutes. One thing I do, well, yeah, that's where I was really going with that point, is I've not played this ship since the Captain rework, which has been quite a while now, and this is my first game I've had in it. I just went, right, okay, I'm gonna press record, gonna have a game, and I'll just talk over that, because at the end of the day, that's the most honest thing I can do. It's like, oh yeah, I could have like 5 games, showcase you the best possible game that I've had, and say, oh, this is a brilliant ship, just say, oh yeah, it's amazing, just to, I guess, prove my point. But instead, I'm like, right, whatever happens on this first game, then I'm just gonna show it, and it just shows you what you can really do, and this is just one game. I mean, obviously, I have got very, preferable matchmaking here. I'm top tier, but I mean, even so, it's still an incredibly fun ship, and you do find you do get quite a few of these games where you're going against ships of this similar matchmaking. So it's just a fact of, right, this is the first one I've had basically in months in this ship, showing it's just generally a very fun and somewhat easy ship to play once you have actually mastered it. Now, one thing as well, you probably noticed at the start of this video, I showed I had my captain skills, but I didn't show my upgrades. That's not for the fact that I forgot to actually, get my upgrades and show you what I'm listing. It's actually straight up for the fact of, obviously, because there was the free respecs, I didn't even add upgrades. So this is a game without upgrades. Now you can imagine when this thing is fully spec'd, I mean, there we go, we just got a nice devastating strike getting up to 93k there, which is brilliant. But what I'm trying to say is this isn't even properly spec'd. This hasn't got any upgrades on, so it's not even in its most optimal sort of form here, because I've got a 10-point captain, and if I did go for the upgrade, I'd get up to the 68 knots on the torpedoes, but I'm still at the base 65, showing you the effectiveness of them, and again, I've also still got the full reload speed of those two. And yeah, just coming in at the moment, we are taking a few shots. I mean, that's the one thing, is this thing, because it is so big, and you get a high, HE shells coming in, they are going to damage you, they are going to be an issue. I mean, you can see that there, and this is what I mean with spotting and generally the AM performance. You can see they are doing absolutely nothing. I mean, they've already managed to go over me because they were obviously not able to get an initial strike. Got a single strike. I was firing at them continuously, and even now I'm still firing, and there's only a single plane. Look how long that just took just to take down that single plane there. That could have been another strike, which would have been awful. It is a New Mexico, and this is what I was trying to get at when I was saying this is the sort of thing you'd want. So you're going to want them pushing you, so you're going to be wanting to kite away and let the ships push into you, because this is going to allow your torpedoes to have the best chance of hitting. And obviously they are closing the gap as your torpedoes are also closing the gap, giving them a lot less time to manoeuvre. And because obviously it's 8 kilometers, they're getting to their target very fast. The margin at which they can start out manoeuvring, so let's say they start going left and right, changing course, not going to change things as much, because they are coming towards it and reducing the time that, so where you predict they were going to be a bit ago isn't going to change too much because of that. Unfortunately, I did get a bit too close there. I didn't realise I was at 6.1, but thankfully he's still aiming the other way, meaning I can just pretty safely go, okay, I'll just get out of his detection range, kite away a little bit, and wait for these torpedoes to land and do some damage. And yeah, you can see these coming in. I mean, obviously, if I'd got this completely spec, these would already be here, and actually, that probably would have meant I wouldn't have gotten all these hits. But yeah, here we go. So you can see the first torpedoes going in, second torpedo. There we go. Managed to get a nice amount of hits there. And this guy's still looking the other way. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, one may as well just start firing at him, because his guns are going to take quite a while to turn around, and I might as well try and secure the kill and go for my 4th kill with, yeah, there we go, 124,000 damage. Now, speaking of gun traverse, that's the one thing I didn't really cover, is they do have a pretty slow, I think it's like 20 odd seconds here, which isn't the best. So, I mean, definitely you'd want to go for grease the gears on this too. And one other thing I didn't cover is the hydroacoustic search. So even though the smoke isn't the longest lasting, when you're pushing into a cap, let's say you've got a ship in the enemy, well, an enemy is in a cap and you want to flush them out, and they're in a smoke, this has got, I believe it is a 4 kilometer ship detection radius, meaning you can go in, pop your hydro, and they're going to be able to do absolutely nothing, especially if they're pointing towards you. It's just, they're just going to have to sit there, and take it. And there we go, that is the craft spee is now currently on fire, taking a load of damage, and the carrier is now dropping torpedoes. And here we are on the end results screen with, yep, just a generally quite a nice score. Of course, as I say, we've got the preferable matchmaking here, but overall, very, very nice. 124k there, 8,000 XP, 8,000 free XP there, which is incredibly good, and surprisingly 2 devastating strikes, which is pretty great. But as I say, I mean, overall, it's a very, very fun ship, and I think it's just, if you're going to get any of these ships, I mean, obviously there are quite a few other good choices here, one of those being Nelson, which I'm going to be covering in another episode. Then again, I'm probably going to try and cover most of these ships. The only one that I don't actually have of these is the Hydra, and I do want to buy that, and I'm probably going to give it a first impressions, but I just want to really cover these ships, and overall just cover them, and explain all of their points as to why they may be bad, what things are a little bit not so good, or some of the bad points of them. And generally, just really cover that. So if you're thinking of buying any, it gives you a bit more of an idea of what these ships are like. Because I know there are quite a few reviews of these ships, but all of those are about 2 years old. So this is more of an up-to-date guide, or more of an explanation of what this ship is like, just so you've got a good idea before you go, oh yeah, I'm going to spend money, but I don't know what it's like. So I'd say it is definitely a ship worth getting if you are a destroyer player and you are looking for a nice mid-tier ship. But with all that said, I hope you've enjoyed and found this useful, and if you have, then make sure to leave a like, because it just lets more people find this find the channel and generally find these videos. And at the moment, because obviously there's only a couple of months left until this update drops, it'll let more people find this, and if they're thinking of buying the ship, then it'll just be good so they can get a bit of an opinion as to what it's like. But with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.